Making a game sounds awesome, until you're staring at a screen wondering why your pixel people are 30 feet tall. That is when you realize that you've got a long road ahead. Let me tell you how we got here and what we're going to do to fix it. About a year ago, our D&D group decided to switch from Roll20 to Foundry. We had Roll20 for years in college, but we saw all the modules and tools there were for Foundry and wanted to try something new because they just looked awesome. One in particular was Forian's quest log. I started filling in the quests, adding in progress trackers, quest rewards, going way further than I really needed to, and full-blown descriptions because apparently I have nothing better to do with my time, and when I showed it to my players, they all loved it. And because I have the energy of a 5-year-old, I thought, cool, that was fun, okay, what next? But my friend Hunter had a different reaction. He saw that quest log, and he joked, dude, what if we made a video game? And we laughed because it was just ridiculous. I was an engineer working around 50 hours a week, give or take a few sleepless nights. Hunter had 2 jobs, one of which was leading a whole organization of like 100 people. Mick was in crisis response, which takes a toll, and Jimmy was a professional programmer, and working something like 70 hours a week on Skynet, probably. I don't know what he does. He's way too secretive about that stuff. On top of all of that, most of us have kids. We barely had enough time in the week to play D&D, let alone build a video game. So simply put, the answer was no. But what I didn't realize is that Hunter had gotten inspired, as he tends to do, and he wasn't gonna let it go easily. So he pulled me aside one night a few weeks later and explained his position again. He said that our D&D group was uniquely equipped to pull this off. Hunter had 2 masters, one of which required him to learn how to code. Jimmy was a part of a band called Abandoned Quests that already made music for video games. You should go check them out, by the way, they're really good. Mick was a published author, and I'm an artist. Coding, music, writing, and art. Basically everything you need to make a video game. And we had it all in-house. And while yes, that was a neat point, it didn't really move me. I was still recovering from the sleepless nights my infant son was giving me, and being a DM for this group of hooligans was already stressful enough. So I'm sure you can understand my mind wasn't enticed by the idea of more work. But then, Hunter said something that caught me off guard. I want to leave something behind for my kids to enjoy. Don't you? And I just stopped. I looked down at my son, asleep against my chest. My daughter was curled up in my lap, watching Bluey and playing with her bunny. And I had to admit, yeah, I do want to leave something behind for them. I don't want to just tell my kids stories. I want them to experience them. I want to be their first game master. So after I got done cursing Hunter's name, I laughed. I looked up and said, all right. So what do we do? Well, the first thing we did was call a friend, Gabe. Maybe you'll meet him later when he's not busy designing robots or watching anime or something. The reason we called him was because he made a few games already, and he was able to give us the lay of the land, as it were. He told us we needed to set a few standards for ourselves before we began, and that's exactly what we did. First, it had to be efficient, because we all had responsibilities outside of the game, not just with work, but our families. The second thing was that it needed to be excellent. If we're going to be spending this much time on a project, it better be worth it. And the third was that it needed to be fun. Our goal was not to make money, but to see what we could truly create. Because after all, we're a group of creatives, right? And so, we created. We started with RPG Maker. It seemed like a good match. Event scripting, quick map prototyping, even some default plugins for turn-based systems. And it worked. Until it didn't. We wanted branching dialogue because we wanted dozens of endings, each unique to the player. We wanted to customize AI behavior and unique combat triggers, tools that didn't just let us build fast, but instead let us build freely. The efficiency we had first imagined just wasn't part of the picture. And we had to come to terms with the idea that this was a massive project that was going to require a lot of time. So we left RPG Maker behind and switched to Game Maker. Of course, that meant rebuilding everything. We threw away the prototype, started again, then did it again, and one more time just to be safe. But each time we restarted, it wasn't because we failed. It was because we were growing. Our skills were getting sharper, our ideas were getting bolder, and the feature creep began to settle in. And when creatives are given space to create freely, well, worlds get made. So why am I telling you all this? Because one of the areas that has endured demolition after demolition after demolition has been the art. Specifically the pixel art, which was and maybe still is the bane of my existence. You see, I'm an engineer as well as an artist. I like to make things look exactly as they are. Needless to say, I still have a lot to learn, but after doing a deep dive trying to understand this area of game making, I learned something incredibly valuable that our team now applies in every area of the game, and started like this. A lot of our feedback after posting previous devlogs have been about the pixel art. The discrepancy in pixel sizes is something we knew about, but we were just hoping to maintain efficiency in this one area at least. It was hard to let go of what had already been finished and admit to ourselves that our pixel sizes were, simply put, a mess. Some tiles were massive, some sprites looked like kaijus ripping up cities. It was chaos, and I think I found the reason why. Our character creator, while awesome, made sprites that looked best at around 64 pixels tall, give or take a few pixels. Meanwhile, the tile sets we were using, most of them were built for 32 or 48 pixel scales. So naturally, our heroes looked like they were stomping around in a diorama. Now, see kids, this is what 4 years of engineering will teach you. Ready for this wisdom? Because they will carve my name into the histories of pixel artists everywhere for this. I thought, what if I just scaled up the tiles to match the sprites? Double the tile size. Simple, elegant, efficient. Problem solved. Genius, right? Well, no, not at all. What I'd actually done was commit a cardinal sin in the sacred church of pixel art. I created mixels. A mixel happens when two different pixel scales collide in the same visual plane. Imagine one sprite is using a crisp 1:1 pixel scaling, and right next to it another element is scaled unevenly, blurred, or aliasing at weird angles. It breaks visual cohesion. It introduces fuzziness, distortion, and a sense that something just isn't quite right. Think of it like this. 1 pixel equals 1 pixel. Just like 1 second equals 1 second. 1 note equals 1 note. If you start messing with those base units, stretching them, compressing them, whatever, you lose the harmony. Now yes, this rule can be broken, and some games do it with style. For instance, Into the Breach. You know, the guys who made FTL, they made Into the Breach too. And that game plays with mixels a lot. But it works. So why does it work? I think it's because the visual layers are compartmentalized. The UI has its own scale, the characters have theirs, the background is clean and uniform, it's surgical. But our game isn't UI heavy like Into the Breach. Our environments are the stage, our characters are the focus. And when those scales clash, the illusion breaks. If you want to get fancy, the term is verisimilitude. So I went back in, scaled the tiles back down to their native resolution, made peace with the fact that 1 pixel must equal 1 pixel. Sacrificed yet another efficient solution that wasn't the right solution. Then I looked at the sprites again. Still too big, still off. So I scaled them down too, keeping everything consistent. 1 pixel equals 1 pixel, right? All is right in the world. Except, not really. Because when I zoomed out, I realized something heartbreaking. The clarity was gone. The faces were muddy. The details, eyes, hair, accessories, all blurred into oblivion. Our colorful cast looked like they were being beamed in from a smudged CRT screen. And that's when it really hit me. Pixel art isn't just about resolution, it's about readability. It's about intention. The best sprites don't use every color. They use the right ones. They don't show everything, they show what's necessary. In a sense, what's efficient. And that's when I hit a wall. How do you move forward when every option breaks one of your own rules? If we kept the sprites, it wouldn't look excellent. If we redid all of the environments, it wouldn't be easy. And if we gave up entirely, well, that wouldn't be fun. So I made a choice. No more shortcuts. No more hacks. No more quick fixes. We're making our own character sprites, from scratch. I know, every pixel art game does the same thing, and yes, you're right, but, well, there's not really a but. It's just a big deal to us. And if I'm going to do this, you better believe I'm going to engineer a way to make this process go efficiently. Just as efficiently as before. You know, maybe I should stop trying to make things efficient and just start making things. Maybe this whole thing would go by a lot smoother. Anyway, as I was saying, I started my sprite journey by making a template for all 8 directions. Then I built out a color palette, skin tones, fabrics, hair, magic, materials, you name it. I've been working on proportions and postures for days too, trying to figure out how the sprites carry themselves, how they move, you get the idea. And now, well, they're starting to look clearer, brighter even, more alive, more like us. And that's what this devlog is really about, not just fixing pixels, but choosing excellence. choosing to build something handmade, something personal, even when it's harder, even if it's not efficient, even if it requires tearing it all down to make way for something better. So if you're following us because you're a fellow developer, or you just need some encouragement, learn from our mistakes. Do it right. Pursue excellence, and don't give up. Take it from us. If we can do it, you can do it too.